Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're zeroing in on a really vital part of medical tech, the Dacron Vascular Grafts market. Our goal here, our mission, if you like, is to explore not just the impressive growth, but really how it's driving innovation
Yeah.
and how it's, improving surgical outcomes. We're pulling this straight from the latest market insights.
It really is a cornerstone, I'd say, in cardiovascular care. I mean, these Dacron grafts, they're essentially synthetic tubes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Surgeons use them to replace or bypass blood vessels that are diseased or damaged.
Right.
They're absolutely critical. Think coronary bypasses, repairing aortic aneurysms, which can be life-threatening. These grafts enable procedures that, frankly, save and significantly improve lives every single day.
Let's start unpacking the scale then,
Yeah.
because the global numbers, they're pretty eye-opening. So
Mm.
sales revenue was $922.17 million back in 2021.
Right.
But here's where it gets really impactful. Projections show it climbing to $1.319 billion by 2025. And then, get this, hitting a remarkable $2.698 billion by 2033. That translates to a strong compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 9.36% globally.
And what's really fascinating behind those numbers,
Mm.
are the core drivers. You've got the undeniable fact of a global aging population. It's simple, really. As people live longer, the chances of developing age-related vascular diseases, well, they just go up.
Naturally.
And that directly fuels the demand for these kinds of interventions. Plus, we're seeing a big uptick in the adoption of these synthetic grafts, especially in those crucial procedures like bypasses and complex aortic surgeries. Surgeons are just growing more confident in their long-term performance and safety.
That makes total sense. But maybe for those of us listening who aren't surgeons, you mentioned synthetic alternatives. What is Dacron exactly in this context? And maybe how does it compare to using, say, the patient's own vessel, an autograft? What makes Dacron so important?
That's a great question. So Dacron, technically, it's polyethylene terephthalate. It's a type of polyester, really strong, really durable. Why it works so well for vascular grafts comes down to a few key things. First, it's incredibly inert. That means it generally doesn't cause a big immune reaction in the body.
Right, less rejection.
Exactly. Plus, it can be woven or knitted very precisely into porous structures. And that porosity is key because it allows the patient's own tissue to grow into it over time. That helps stabilize the graft, integrate it better.
Oh, okay.
Now, using a patient's own vein, an autograft, that's often seen as the gold standard because, well, it's living tissue. But it's not always feasible. You might not have a suitable vein available, or maybe it's not long enough or strong enough, especially for bigger repairs or if someone needs a repeat surgery.
So Dacron fills that gap.
Precisely. It provides a readily available, off-the-shelf solution. That makes it absolutely indispensable in many situations. Think emergencies or complex reconstructions where you just don't have other options or time.
Availability, reliability, precision. Got it. So keeping those global numbers in mind, let's zoom in a bit. Because the regional picture, that's where it often gets really interesting. North America, led by the U.S., had the biggest slice of the pie in 2021, a hefty $358.7 million.
In North America's growth path, just keeps looking impressive. The projection is for that region to nearly triple its market size by 2033. Hitting around $957.9 million, that's maintaining a really robust TGR of 8.5%.
Wow, nearly triple.
Yeah, and specifically the U.S. market, that's expected to jump from $275.1 million in 2021 up to $708.8 million by 2033. The reasons there are pretty clear-cut. Highly advanced healthcare systems, massive surgical volumes compared to many places, and crucially strong reimbursement policies. That makes these often expensive, life-saving procedures more accessible.
That strong infrastructure definitely sounds like a key piece. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe also shows, well, a compelling story of steady growth. Projections there show growth from $255.4 million in 2021 to a pretty significant $717.7 million by 2033. That's a healthy CAGR of about 8.95%.
Absolutely. And you see key markets like Germany, the UK, France, Spain really driving that. They're seeing increased adoption, especially, again, in those complex aortic aneurysm repairs, but also for peripheral artery diseases, things affecting leg circulation, for instance. What's interesting is how these established systems are constantly refining surgical techniques to integrate these advanced grafts more routinely.
Okay, now for the region really setting the pace, Asia Pacific. This area is projected as the fastest growing, an impressive TAGR of 10.96%. We're looking at growth from $197.3 million in 2021 to an estimated $688.1 million by 2033.
And within Asia-Pacific, you really have to highlight India. It's leading the global pace, actually, with an astounding CAGR of 12.31%.
12%, that's huge.
It is. China and Japan are also major players in that regional surge. And this rapid growth, it's not just about population size, though that's part of it. It's critically linked to rapid healthcare infrastructure development. Think new, modern hospitals, more surgical facilities, plus a growing patient base that actually has increasing access to diagnosis and then treatment.
It's amazing to see infrastructure driving that kind of expansion.
Yeah.
We're also seeing solid development elsewhere, right? South America and the Middle East have KGRs around 9.86% and 10.04%.
That's right.
And we shouldn't forget Africa. Healthy growth there, too, from about $26.7 million in 2021 up to $75.5 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 8.88%, particularly in places like Nigeria and South Africa.
Yeah, countries like Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, they are indeed investing quite a bit in advanced surgical tech. And they're actively working to improve access to vascular care for their people. This push to modernize healthcare, it directly translates into more demand for these kinds of innovative solutions, making sure more patients can benefit.
So stepping back from the specific regions for a moment, what are the sort of overarching factors? What makes Dacron grafts so consistently valuable across all these different markets? Is there a common thread, a secret sauce driving this demand everywhere?
That is a crucial point. Because across all these regions, the market universally benefits from, well, ongoing technological advancements. We're talking innovations in the graft design itself. Things like better surface treatments to reduce clotting risk or infection.
Okay.
Or advancements in the way the material is engineered, making the grafts maybe more flexible, easier for surgeons to handle during tricky operations.
Right, easier to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these innovations, they lead directly to better long-term patency rates, basically. The grafts stay open and working longer and significantly improved outcomes for patients after surgery. There's also just growing awareness among surgeons worldwide. They increasingly see the effectiveness and the long-term benefits of these synthetic options, sometimes making them the preferred choice over using the patient's own tissue, even when that might be an option.
So what we've really mapped out today shows this Dacron Vascular Grafts market is, well, it's much more than just numbers growing on a chart. It's a really dynamic field. Continuous innovation is fundamentally changing patient care around the world. It feels like a testament, really, to how medical advances can directly mean better, more reliable surgeries, and ultimately a better quality of life for millions.
Absolutely. And that constant evolution in medical tech, it raises a really interesting question for you, the listener, to think about.
Yeah.
As our global population keeps aging and vascular diseases inevitably become even more common, how will the next generation of these synthetic grafts, perhaps even grafts that are more integrated with the body, or maybe even smart grafts, how will they continue to reshape cardiovascular surgery? And crucially, how will they broaden access to these life-saving treatments worldwide in the coming years?
That's a really powerful, forward-looking question to leave you with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the future of medical technology.
All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on something really foundational in modern medicine, Dacron Vascular Grafts. If you've ever been curious about how surgeons tackle some of the really serious heart and vessel issues, well, this deep dive is for you.
Yeah.
Our goal. To quickly get you well informed on, what drives their use, the challenges they face, and where this vital technology is heading.
Indeed. And when we talk about Dacron Vascular Grafts, we're really talking about their absolutely crucial role in treating severe cardiovascular diseases.
Okay.
Think of conditions like aortic aneurysms. That's a dangerous ballooning of the body's main artery.
Right, very serious.
Or peripheral artery disorders, blocked arteries in the limbs, basically, which really impact circulation. These are life-threatening conditions where Dacron, well, it steps in to literally rebuild and repair. It's a fundamental tool.
So let's unpack this a bit. It's interesting how our aging populations and, well, lifestyle trends are directly fueling the need for solutions like Dacron.
It really is.
It's almost like progress itself creates this demand for complex repairs. What's the biggest factor driving this, would you say?
Well, the key thing is how interconnected these factors are. A major force is definitely the rising global burden of cardiovascular diseases.
Okay.
We're not just seeing more cases overall, but we also have an aging global population where these issues become more common.
Naturally, yeah.
And on top of that, a surge in lifestyle-related heart conditions hitting younger people too. This whole mix creates a relentless, growing demand for really reliable vascular repair materials.
And Dacron fits that bill.
Dacron has consistently met that need,
And
yes.
it's not just demand, right? It's the specific qualities of Dacron that have made it a, quote, trusted option for so long. What really makes it the go-to?
That's a great question. What's really fascinating about Dacron are its core strengths. Its remarkable biocompatibility, how well it gets along with the body. Its proven durability, and just its unmatched long-term performance. The key insight isn't just that it has these properties, but the combination, proven over like 60 years in patients.
It's years.
Yeah, it's made it a genuine gold standard. Surgeons rely on its strength and adaptability for complex reconstructions with a much lower risk of graft failure.
Whether it's open surgery or something newer.
Exactly, whether open or endovascular. It's just incredibly reliable for rebuilding human vasculature.
That kind of track record is impressive. Beyond the material itself, though, how have surgical techniques evolved? How are surgeons using Dacron now in ways they couldn't before?
That's a really good point. The rise of hybrid surgeries, for instance, has opened up huge possibilities.
Hybrid. So mixing technique.
Exactly. Think of it as blending the precision of traditional open surgery with the minimal invasiveness of catheter-based techniques. You get the best of both worlds, really.
Okay.
And Dacron's flexibility is absolutely critical here. It allows for smoother transitions between these different methods within the same procedure.
And that means better outcomes for patients.
Directly. Better patient outcomes, less trauma, and significantly faster recovery times. It lets surgeons tackle much more complex cases now.
And outside the operating room, it sounds like the healthcare system itself plays a part. Policies, funding.
Right.
How does that encourage using these higher quality grafts?
Right. Looking at the bigger picture, favorable healthcare policies and, importantly, reimbursement systems, especially in developed markets, they actively encourage investment in top-tier vascular grafts like Dacron.
So insurance coverage helps.
Definitely. Government funding, insurance coverage, it all makes these life-saving procedures more accessible to more people. It ensures these advanced, sometimes resource-intensive treatments can actually reach patients. It's about building a system that supports this level of medical intervention.
Okay, so that paints a strong picture of growth and innovation. But, like any medical advance, there must be hurdles. What challenges do surgeons still face with Dacron grafts, particularly post-op complications?
That raises a really important point. While Dacron is highly effective, no synthetic material is completely risk-free.
Right.
Post-operative issues like infection, thrombosis that's blood clotting inside the graft, or even the body having an immune reaction to the synthetic material are, well, they're key concerns. Now, thankfully, these issues are rare.
Okay, yeah.
But they can seriously impact patient recovery. And they remain a particular concern for certain high-risk groups. So it requires careful patient selection and close monitoring afterwards.
And then there's the cost factor. These aren't simple procedures, so they must be expensive. Why is that? Is it just the graft material or other things too?
It's definitely a combination of factors. The high cost associated with these surgeries is a big hurdle. Yes, it includes the cost of the materials themselves. They require incredible precision to make.
I can imagine.
But it's also about the specialized surgical expertise needed. These are intricate procedures done by surgeons with years and years of intense training.
Right.
Plus, the surgeries themselves can take longer, and patients often need extended hospital stays for recovery and monitoring. All these things add up.
And that limits access.
It definitely limits adoption in, say, lower-income regions or healthcare systems that are underfunded.
That makes sense. And with high costs, I imagine there's competition from alternatives. How significant is that? Does anything really challenge Dacron's position?
You're right. The competition is definitely there, and it's pretty fierce, actually. It adds pressure. We're seeing more alternative graft types, like biological grafts made from, human or animal tissue.
Okay.
Or other synthetics, like EPTFE.
EPTFE?
Yeah, expanded polytetrafluoroethylene. It's another synthetic, but often has a different structure, maybe smoother, more porous.
So different materials for different jobs.
Exactly. While Dacron is often chosen for its sheer strength in larger vessels, something like EPTFE might be preferred in smaller arteries, where perhaps reducing clot formation is the absolute top priority. So it's less about total dominance and more about specific advantages for certain situations.
Fascinating. Okay, looking ahead now, beyond today's challenges, what's exciting on the horizon for Dacron? Where's the tech going? Miniaturization sounds promising.
Yeah, what's really exciting is this trend towards engineering smaller, more anatomically tailored grafts. Custom fit, almost.
Tailored how?
Designed to better match a specific patient's anatomy. This is crucial for expanding use in areas like pediatric care, tiny grafts for tiny patients,
Makes sense.
and for pushing minimally invasive procedures even further, always aiming to reduce patient impact and speed up recovery. It's about making the graft fit the patient perfectly.
And are we seeing these used more widely around the world, not just in established markets?
Oh, absolutely. There's a significant rise in adoption in emerging healthcare markets. Think Asia Pacific, Latin America, the Middle
What's
East.
driving that?
It's directly linked to improving cardiovascular infrastructure in those regions, better access to specialized surgical care as expertise spreads, and encouragingly, more public health spending focused on tackling these serious diseases. It reflects a global shift in healthcare priorities.
Okay, and finally, let's touch on their role in advanced surgeries again. You mentioned hybrid procedures. It sounds like Dacron is becoming even more integrated there.
Yes, definitely. The integration of Dacron grafts into endovascular and hybrid surgeries isn't just continuing, it's accelerating. It's becoming fundamental.
Why is that?
Well, their inherent flexibility and strength make them uniquely suited for these really complex procedures. They allow surgeons to achieve results that maybe weren't possible or were much riskier just a decade or two ago.
So it expands treatment options.
Exactly. It helps hospitals offer a wider range of treatments and significantly boosts the success rates for these intricate, life-saving surgeries. Makes them more reliable, more accessible.
So wrapping this up,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway here? Dacron grafts are clearly in a really dynamic phase, evolving, reaching more people, pushing boundaries in patient care. You should now have a pretty solid handle on this key piece of modern medicine.
Right. And as we think about the journey of these devices, it does make you wonder, doesn't it? How might the ongoing evolution in material science, like we see with Dacron, keep democratizing access to these life-saving procedures globally? But also, what challenges are still out there, making sure these advanced technologies are distributed equitably, reaching every corner of the world that needs them? Something to think about.